Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer, dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. I welcome you to another invigorating episode. As always, we want to inspire you, want to energize you, we want to impact you in your livelihood, in your life, by adding positive entrepreneurial content. And I have a guest who's going to do just that. His name is Mr. Thato M Bolokang. You probably don't like the Mr. part, eh? All right. Welcome to the studio, sir. You're going to talk to us about the Tapana enterprise. And please just share with the viewer who you are and what your company does.
Thank you very much. Like you just mentioned, my name is Thato M Bolokang. I'm the mining director for Tapana Investments. Tapana is a name that I came up with. We have a farm actually, by the Orapa side. So the farm is called Tapana. Mm-hmm. So I've always been intrigued about the name. So I decided to name my company after the name. Plus, you know, when you're opening a company and you have to choose 3 names, it's always difficult. You're always putting in a name and SIPA rejects it. So I had to come up with a name that nobody could ever think of.
And what industry are you in?
So the industry I'm mostly concentrated in is logistics, mining, and construction.
Okay.
I always knew it was going to be difficult for me to enter such industry because of my age, firstly, the most disadvantage. But I grew up...
What age is that?
I'm currently 27.
But do you know that the biggest advantage is that you have unbelievable amounts of energy?
Yes.
And there's no such thing as I'm tired. You just get the work done.
Yes, it's quite remarkable that at my age now I've made tremendous progress throughout the process, because I've actually started this when I was 23 years old. Yeah, I was 23 and I was still at varsity. I was supposed to go to Missouri because I grew up in a mining town, so obviously...
In Joneng?
No, Orapa.
Orapa,
so
yes, sorry.
Obviously, your most prominent career choice will be a mining course. Mm-hmm. So I studied mining engineering. So per culture, people have been going to Missouri. The government has been taking students abroad to finish off their mining degree in Missouri. So when we were supposed to go, we were actually the first group to do our degree here in Botswana, in the University of Botswana. So when I failed, I felt like my whole world was trembling.
You failed at what level?
I didn't fail school, but I failed to progress to Missouri. Mm-hmm. The whole group failed. Mm-hmm. So to me, it became as a form of failure, because obviously you have ideas.
After the first 2 years of BSc,
after the first
you had to connect to Missouri. For how long?
For the remaining years, for the remaining 3 years.
Okay, the same way as lawyers, we used to go to Edinburgh, yeah.
Yeah, and you actually think of what you're going to do when you get there. You know, you think of all the disadvantages you have in Botswana and how...
Was it a particularly tough exam, or you guys were not serious? How can the whole class fail?
It wasn't, maybe I'm saying it wrong. The government didn't have enough funds to progress us to Missouri per culture, like it was already used to. UB never had a degree program in mine engineering. So we all knew that immediately after third year, we go to Missouri for the remaining years and we finish off our degree there. So it became a failure to us because, you know, you're stuck here and you're going to be the first group to try and finish your mining degree course here, and you don't even know how good the program is or how good the program will be.
Yeah.
So yeah. So to me, it felt like hey, everything is just tumbling down. You know, I had ideas. I had a vision of what I was going to do in the US. You know, you'd probably, you had already planned what I'll be saving that allowance, and probably when I'm back, I'll be building a house with the good exchange rate. You know, you think of things
those
like
kind
that.
of things,
Yeah,
yes,
of
yes.
exposure to a different country. So I met a kid who actually grew up in Khabani. He stays in Khabani. His father was into trucking. They had a lot of trucks. So this guy opens a company called Super Tenders. And I approach this guy, and he keeps coming to class with a badge, written Super Tenders. And I'm like, guy, can I buy into this? And he's like, no, you can't buy into my company. I'm like, what? You have a company? But we're only 23 and we're still at varsity. And he's like, yeah, and I can open your company as well. And I was like, okay, can you do that for me? And I gave him all my allowance. And we opened the company, and we established the company. And then he taught me how we can actually make profit out of this. And then now he's hiring me into Super Tenders. And he's telling me that from now on, we'll be opening companies for other people. And we'll be using certain people as the secretary to these companies. So the effort we'll be using to run around and making companies for other people, we'll be charging for those services. You can imagine, you submit a name Kosipa for $20, but this guy was invoicing 200 pula, you know? So it opened up my mind and it opened up my head. Actually, his real name is Bokamuso Zero. This guy, yeah. So I'm like, okay, so we're making money now. And he's like, yeah, well, let's make money now. And we did that for about 6 months. We used those funds to open other smaller companies for ourselves. I opened up Tapana, bought codes for Tapana, and those small funds, we also used them to buy documents.
When you say you bought codes, you mean at
PPADB, yes.
Yeah.
So we need to generate money for the companies we have for ourselves. So, another BK guy, Wakamuso Zero, he's very smart. So he knows how to do compliance for tenders and all that. And he's like, you know what? Let's pause just a little bit on the running around and offering services and opening other people companies, and let's focus on trying to actually do the actual tender now, because all our companies have everything that encompasses anything a company could use to win a tender. Because now we have all the acumen, we have the tax clearances,
all the documentation
for the company. And he's like, okay, let's give this thing a try. And he's pushing me, and he's teaching me. He's asking me, ask your guys, ask your dad's friends who are at the mine for rates. How much can a loader cost? How much can a grader cost? You know? And all this time...
You mean Caterpillar?
Caterpillar, yeah. Caterpillars, you know. What people normally call JCBs, you know. And all this time, now, I'm still focused on trying to be a mine engineer. Because, you know, my father is a miner. So I'm like, tell this guy, bro, when we finish school as miners, we'll be earning around this much. And I think this is pretty much comfortable for me.
Then we're talking about what sort of figures?
You know, engineers are probably earning about, a senior engineer is probably earning about in the hundreds, you know. And then when you're a junior engineer, you're probably earning about in your 40s. Yeah, maybe before taxes and all that. So I was pretty comfortable with getting 40 or 30.
Depends who's your employer.
It depends,
if it's Debswana,
yes. If it's Debswana, you're looking at that much. You're looking at around that much. And I was pretty confident that Debswana would have took me. I mean, I'm a confident guy, and I truly believe in myself. So there was not even a single doubt that Debswana wasn't going to take me. I have to say it out loud so people need to know. Yeah, because I'm really...
That's confidence for you,
really confident. I was really confident Debswana wasn't going to lose a gem like me. So I kept telling this guy, like, you know, my man, look at this. And this guy is like, no, I've managed to gather the rates for JCBs and all that. If I give you a JCB or just one truck, and we calculate the hourly rates per job, how much are you making per month? And I'm looking at those numbers, and he keeps telling me, he's like, you see, it's how much you'll be earning probably as a senior mining engineer at the mine. So imagine now having 3 JCBs. That means you'll be having 3 seniors, 4 seniors working for you. And I'm asking him, how much is a JCB? And he's like, no, don't think about
the cost
of the JCB right now.
Think of the benefits.
Think about the benefit of the JCB. And I'm like, okay, tell me, how can we get there, BK? And he's like, I'll be your administrator and you'll be on the ground. So this is what you're going to do. We're going to be a broker for, just like how we're brokers for opening companies for people. Just like how we're middlemen for opening companies for people. Anybody can go to CP and do that for themselves, And he's like, so we are going to get contracts for all this big machinery. And when we get those contracts, we are going to market our company as the owners of those contracts. And the people with those machinery will be coming to us to bring those machines to work for us at a commission. And I'm like, okay, can you explain to me? Can you put it in figures? And he's like, okay, mister. In simple terms, what I'm saying is, if a machine costs 200 pula per an hour, per market rate, wherever we've managed to get the contract from, we charge 300 pula. 100 pulas ours, 200 pulas for the owner of the machine. And I'm like, okay, so when can we start? And he's like, you can start as early as now. It didn't even take long. Social media, we've been marketing. We opened a page called BW Plant Hire. We pushed the media through super tenders as well, whereby we offer these services.
Meaning your friend's dad was also on it.
No, his dad is not there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gathered all this.
But he's supportive.
Yeah, he's supportive. Yeah. So
you say it didn't take long?
It didn't take long. But for where we are right now, it did take long. It took, I think, a good 3 years. Yeah, to be where I am right now.
And where are you now? How many plants? How many machines? And whatnot? First of all, did you finish your degree?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, once you finished, you went straight into business.
I was straight into business whilst I was doing my degree.
Okay, which is a smart move, yeah.
Yeah, and trust me, whilst I was doing it, my grades went good, but I really didn't
worry about that
because I knew I was not going back to the corporate world.
So where can you describe the company now in terms of asset base, machinery?
Now the company.
We're talking about Tapana.
Yeah, now Tapana Investments has a motor grader. Has 3 excavators, a 30-ton excavator and 2 21-ton excavators. It has tipper trucks.
Many tipper trucks.
No, only 3 tipper trucks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a sizable company, and you've been running it for how long?
It's incorporated in 2018, March 2018.
Okay.
And from the day of incorporation, we've been pushing it. We haven't stopped.
This is great.
We haven't slept.
This is wonderful.
And we're still not sleeping.
So I'm interested in this new tender you've won, a substantial tender in the construction field. How did you win this tender?
Actually,
tell us about the whole
process. Yeah. Per government criteria, the government releases these tenders on the government gazette, and then you have to go by the gazette, and as a company you take a decision that this is the tender that we'll be participating in. So we went and we bought the document from the Joining Council, and then after we bought the document, we complied per document compliance. And we actually make sure we comply. We go through the document probably 10 times just to make sure we've
meticulously.
We really
By
do.
the way, dear viewer, there's a video where I share how to become an entrepreneur, and these are some of the points I cover.
Yes.
How to do a tender. They can check it out somewhere in the. Carry on, sir. Sorry about the interruption.
So we really do make sure that our compliance is of the best, and then you go to pricing now. So before you can price these tenders, you really need to check what the financial criteria is looking for. You should really need to understand what they mean. Sometimes they can say award will be awarded to the lowest evaluated bidder, or sometimes they can say it will be awarded to the most reasonable bidder. So you need to know what that means. Most reasonable means you're pricing probably close to the engineer's estimate or close to their estimate. Lowest bidder means how much can you offer to do this job for us for, and how much are you willing to lose in order to do this job. So those are the things we take into account before we tender. So we took all that into account, and my team priced the best it could, and obviously with the best compliance. And also because we're still at OC level.
What does that mean?
OC level stands for opportunity contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
because of the youth.
So Tapana Investments is probably one of the few youth companies around Botswana that has resources such as plant. And this joining tender was point system. It was point based, whereby you get a point for each stage of compliance. So one thing that I'm certain and sure of is when we got to the plant criteria, where they're looking for equipment, we didn't lose points there, because obviously most of the competing companies were going under least.
Okay.
You understand?
In fact, some of them were saying they're going to buy once they got the contract.
Exactly. But we were owning the equipment. So it gives the client enough confidence to give us the job, because they're giving a company that already has those resources.
That gave you a clear advantage. How were you able to get this equipment? What was the one thing that distinguished you from other companies that don't have the equipment? In other words, how did you manage to secure the equipment?
For the Jordan project, I used my own equipment, and I only leased out the milling machine. And I leased it out from South Africa because they don't have any milling machine here in Botswana. Yes. So I have 3 years as a broker. So you can imagine how many people I know that have equipment. Because when you're a broker or you're a middleman for plant, you need to have a good contact list for those that have such equipment. And for me to acquire my own plant in the first place is through the commissions of the equipment I've already been leasing out. Yeah.
And were you buying some of the second hand? Is it better to buy?
No, all my equipment has been second hand. Yeah.
And what's the advantage there? Because some people tend to want to buy brand new.
To be honest, because I had to understand the value chain for construction and how much profit it's bringing out. When you're an opportunity contractor, it's difficult for you to talk to SIDA and buy new equipment, because the rate on investment will not be the same. Leasing out your equipment to a subcontract for them to use your equipment does not generate enough money rather than the contract being yours. Yeah, because we have a market rate for these equipments. I mean, a grader is 700 pula per an hour. So if I buy a grader for 600,000 second hand, I have a better chance at paying back 600,000 in a shorter period of time.
Okay.
Rather than buying a grader for 2.4 million. Because a grader is about 2.4 million pula when it's brand new.
Yeah.
So how long are you going to pay 2.4 million pula if the market rate is as low as 700 pula per an hour?
So in fact, if I hear you correctly, you would advise others who want to get into the industry to get to know the market first, and if they buy, to go for second hand.
To go for second hand, yes.
Because
to go for second hand that second hand that actually works, not just scraps. Yeah, because currently now we have a lot of competitors. You know, the model that I use to acquire my own plant, I got it from the Zim brothers. You know, a lot of Zim guys in Botswana, almost all of them, if you ask them, where did you get your truck? You'll tell you, my brother, I started off as a driver for a certain guy. Yeah, because when we're not there, they do piece jobs, they negotiate the rates on behalf of the owner of the trucks, and then they get these markups or these commissions, and that money is more than enough for some guy to buy himself
his
another
own truck.
Yeah. So that's exactly where I got the model. Because I always, it didn't make sense for me how a guy used to be a driver for somebody, but all of a sudden he's owning trucks. So why can't I own trucks?
As long as it was done legitimately.
As long as it's done legitimately. And one of the things that has kept me going is that I've always been honest with my clients. If I take something from you, Mr. Mogobe, I actually expose the contract. Yeah, even if you're the owner of the equipment, I tell you, sir, this is the job I'm taking your equipment to, and here are the rates. So I just wanted to be out there in the open so that it can be transparent, so that you can also know that I don't feel entitled to the money or the commission that I'll be getting off your plant.
Okay. Your company is into construction, it's into logistics, it's into mining.
Yes.
How do these three interrelate? And how much mining, how much construction, how much logistics? Or is it all of the above? How does it work in practical terms?
I think what favors me the most is the plant. Yeah, the plant gives me the leverage to have a logistics, a mining, and a construction company. Just before I was in Jwaneng, I was mining a quarry in Kubung. So my excavator was there doing all the excavations there. So that falls under mining because we follow all the preliminary stages for the mining process. We blast, we drill, we blast, we excavate, and we haul. So just that alone falls under the mining aspect.
Yes.
And then the trucks from my plant, you can hire me in order for me to haul your material or your aggregates. That is logistics. And for the construction, the job that I'm doing now, it's civil works. It's a road construction job. That falls under construction, using my own motor grader and my own trucks as well. So the base of all these three has to be the plant. The plant allows me to sell my company as a logistics, a mining, and a construction company.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, talking about this job, it's a road construction. Does it require additional skills beyond your basic engineering skills, and how do you acquire those skills to execute a road? Tell us about this road, how big it is, what's involved in it. I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, the road is it's not really a big road. It's a 3.35 kilometer road. It's 6.5 meters wide. Per standard should have been 7 meters wide. And
why is it smaller than standard, just by the way?
It's actually an old road.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they've been constructed
long ago.
Yeah. Because of financial constraints, they've just asked me to maintain the current standard. But what's most interesting about that contract is that there's a process they've entailed I must do, and it's called milling. So milling is it's a cost-saving measure actually, and it's not really been used a lot in our road construction works. Normally we rip the existing surface and we dispose the base and import more material in order
I
to.
always think that's a huge waste. Why do roads have to be destroyed first?
Exactly. So what I'm doing, I'm actually recycling the existing road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to encompass a machine from South Africa called a cold recycler. So this cold recycler, before you can start your process, you have to stabilize first. Bags of cement will be your stabilizing agent, so that the goal is to create a stronger base. Yes, a stronger base. So it recycles the existing material from the road. You're not disposing anything.
But you remove and then reposition the same.
No, you're recycling as the machine goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's recycling.
Explain it to us, because some of us are not that well clued on such matters. How does it recycle a road?
This machine is encompassed of a ripper or a circular ripper that has more than 1,000 teeth. So it breaks all these chunks of material into finer material, and then it processes it with water and cement, so that the strength of the material can be a bit stronger, and then it lays it on the road uniformly.
Wow.
And then it's followed by the grader and the steel roller, and then from there you have what you call your base. And then after you have that base, you encompass chipping, or you encompass surfacing. Yeah, now that's when you put an additional layer of road, or let me say of tar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this particular approach unique, or it's something that's?
No, it's very unique. I think it's done. I'm probably the second or the third person to do it in the country. Yeah, first it was done by Asphalt. Asphalt was on during the Boatlo Road.
Yes.
I think they had 3 cold recyclers on that road, and they were also stabilizing. And then the other person I know of is Limpeo. Limpeo did the village road through milling and cold recycling. And then it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that one of the ways in which your company is taking advantage of technology? And if there are other ways, please share with us.
Yes, it's one of the ways of us trying to be innovative, trying to save costs. I mean, it's a tremendous cost-saving measure. You don't need to import material from outside. You don't need to dispose material. I mean, everybody knows tires is non-biodegradable. It has to be disposed in a very, very strict manner. So we don't do any of those
exercises.
Those hideous processes or exercises. So because I'm a youth company, hopefully maybe the government will start looking into it, and maybe the government will save a lot of costs.
How do we communicate that to government? Because I see even here in Western Bypass, roads are being destroyed and then replaced. So how does the message get through to government or to the Ministry of Infrastructure to maybe consider changing so that we can save costs?
I think the only way we can communicate that is through reports, and benchmarking. So for me, like I've said, my company will encompass a good report, and will have enough backup from the Joint Town Council to actually attest to such a process, so that the government can be aware of its cost-saving measures.
Yeah,
because remember that councils they don't have a lot of money for road constructions, but they've done a road that could have been more expensive
they could save what, like up to 75% of the cost.
Yeah, 75% of the contract sum. Yeah,
that's something they should listen to. All right, so I sense that you are one of the few youth companies, if not the only one that I'm aware of in this industry. Why is that? Why is there a shortage of youth in your industry?
I don't know. I've always been interested about mining. I've been obsessed about the construction industry, earthworks, has always been my interest. But the youth these days is more interested in technology, is more interested in the tradings, the forex. They're not interested in the hard labor that the old men call hard work, you know. So for them, I think it's easier to make a living whilst at home and you're trading on the internet. And that's where the world is shifting to anyway, so.
But how can we shift that? Because we still need roads, we still need construction. I don't think mining is going anywhere, construction. And these are fields that are growing, if anything, for any growing economy.
I really don't know how we can really encourage them to.
Do you ever talk to your colleagues or to your fellow youth to say, let's get into this? The same way as your friend inducted you into the industry.
Yeah. No, I do. But, I've tried to talk to a lot of people, but not everybody's willing to enjoy the process, because it's difficult and the process is actually painful.
Is there a fear factor?
Yeah, there's a fear factor. And the most feared thing in every process is failure. So I don't think any youth is willing to fail at anything of anything that big.
Okay.
Because construction is really it's a big thing, especially for the one that I'm doing. I'm into earthworks, heavy machinery. So I'm actually in the bigger aspect or the
But the payout
or
is
the
significant.
bigger pool, or the bigger pool of the construction industry. Yes.
And you, over the 4 years you've been running this company, I think you said 4 years.
Yes.
What were the biggest challenges and how did you overcome them?
I think my biggest challenges were, mostly losing contracts. Trust, because I started off as a broker. So obviously, if I want to trust you to do a certain contract, Mogobe can later talk to the client without me and establish a new deal with a better price. And next thing you know, you've lost that job. And then also age plays a very huge disadvantage to me, because currently the biggest challenges I'm facing is other contractors they still think I'm young. Yeah, they still don't. It's still difficult for them to actually believe that there's a young guy that actually has the energy to do something. Just with this job alone, the one that I've won in Joanne, I've had a lot of guys that couldn't even trust that I could get the job done. But
you did.
But I'm doing a great job, and I'm doing it alone. Yeah, but with the help of another guy that I've engaged to do surfacing for me. But because of my age,
what do you think of the idea of attending meetings with people who are slightly older than you, maybe your engineers, your architects, or whoever you work with, who are older than you? You don't think that will counterbalance and address that objection about you being too young?
To be honest, I've never really had that challenge. Because, like I said, I grew up in a mining town, and I think the best thing...
You mean the challenge of?
Yeah, the challenge of having older people to try and overpower any decision or any idea.
No, understand me well. I'm saying, have you thought of empowering yourself by hiring older gentlemen and surrounding yourself with them to overcome this hump? Yeah.
No. Yes.
You don't think that's a brilliant idea?
It's not a brilliant idea.
Why?
Because I believe I have every I believe I can do it.
Mm.
Yes.
No, for meetings, for certain things. Yeah, I'm trying to give you a few tips.
If the president calls me to the table, I'm the one who's coming, regardless of who thinks I'm young or what.
Yes.
I'm sitting on that table.
Okay. So is your message to the youth that just press on, forget about you being young. You will eventually win the trust.
Yeah.
Mm.
Especially if you let your results speak for yourself. Throughout my whole journey, I've never really been too big on social media or trying to prove or seek any validation from social media, because I know the difficulty of enduring the process, and I know how difficult it is to be who I am. So the best message I can give to the youth is just to keep trying.
Yeah.
To keep trying.
We mentioned social media, which makes me think of marketing.
Yes.
What, therefore, is your marketing strategy then, if you are not using too much social media?
Surprisingly, the construction industry, the marketing is still old school. It's still old-fashioned. Your results speak for yourself. Once you've done something, like I'm already doing the job there, somebody will tell another contractor that Tapan Investments is capable of doing that. And I realized that if you're good at what you do, the pool becomes so little. You all know each other, and you know where you can get anything you need from who. So you don't really need to market it on social media. I mean, take it for example. Look how big Tile is. Look how big Asphalt Botswana is.
And these are Botswana-owned companies.
These are Botswana-owned companies, Look how big Lopcom is, but you don't see them on social media saying they won a tender worth 500 million, because already they know, and they know who to go to when they need something. So once you build your craft on ground within the construction industry, they know for Tapan Investments has a good motor grader. If you want your dry graders to be done in 2 days, engage Tapan Investments.
Can it be done that fast?
Yes, Tapan Investments, we can do anything.
That's what I like. That's the confidence I like. Now, what are you working on apart from the road, and what are your future plans? Even if you talk 5-10 years down the line.
Right now, I have a 3-year goal plan. I'll be 30 in the next 3 years, and I'm hoping to have achieved at least 4 trucks that will be doing haulage, and enough plant to do all my roadworks, and maybe 1 mobile crusher for my mining aspect. And because already next year I'll be expanding the company. We'll be moving to a larger office space, and I'll be hiring more youth, because I can't do everything on my own.
No, nobody can.
Yeah, because currently I'm the one that will be doing the tenders. I'm the one that's doing the pricing. I'm the one that's running around. So we're trying to close that gap now. So from the finances from the project, all that money will be reinvested back into the company. No fancy cars, no...
Can you say that again? Because that's an important message that needs to be heard.
Yes.
Why are you avoiding fancy cars?
All the money from the project will be
Why do you emphasize no fancy cars? I think that needs to be underscored.
To be honest, if you're youth and you're trying to push, and you're inspired by Mr. Mogobe, I mean, people that have buildings for CBD, you need to ask yourself a lot of questions how they got there. And it's no way within or during the process have I seen people living comfortable. So discipline is the most important aspect for you to push your company, and that means that discipline today means for you to shy away from what people really think about you. I mean, I don't need to be who I am because people see me in a...
How do you resist the temptation from your peers? Let's go chill in Cape Town. Let's go blow some money in Nairobi. he can easily afford to run around. Let's go to Dubai and chill. How do you resist that pressure, and also the pressure of not buying a Ferrari when the contract sum gets paid?
I think mostly because the people I'm always around are older people, and are people that have actually done so well. So I've never really had such temptation.
You don't hang around with your workmates and
No.
your age mates?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I think we don't think the same. Yeah. We don't think
Are
the
they
same.
too much bling bling?
No, not that too much bling bling. It's just that when you put effort into something, you need somebody that can reciprocate what you're saying or what you're thinking. So only a certain caliber of people that have passed through a certain stage in life can actually reciprocate what you're thinking. So for me, I hung around older people at a very young age. I think from Form 5. And now all those older guys, one of them is a mining manager, actually a senior head of department in mining in Joanne. And I've met him when he was a junior, actually a land official, rapper.
Wow.
The other guy is the CEO of the bulb world. You see?
It's a big company.
It's a very big company. The other guy owns his own law firm. The other guy owns his own audit firm. So when I met them from Form 5 at that young age, they were still far from being what I'm telling you now. And along that process, they changed, they evolved to what they are now. So why must I be left behind? You see, so obviously what they're thinking is rubbed onto me to think of something I can do for myself.
That's beautiful. Well said, well articulated. Thank you very much. Now, in terms of what we're in the midst of, COVID, is there any COVID dividend, any advantages from COVID? Similarly, are there any negatives? How has COVID affected you, positively or negatively?
Business-wise, COVID has affected everybody, but mostly because our industry, our biggest client in the construction industry, mostly in almost all the industries in Botswana, is the government. I don't know if people are aware that our market is actually surrounded by the finances that are from the government in order for you to thrive or for you to grow. So which actually means that almost all of us at the end of the day have to be tender-based, because that's where we can get most of our profits from.
You have to be all tenderpreneurs.
Yeah, at the end of the day, because if you're into construction and into buildings, I mean, you can only have a few clients you can build houses for. But for you to make the big money to grow the company, you need to at least score a school the government needs you to build, for a larger contract sum. So, because the government alone has been having financial challenges, it rubs off on all the industries down. Which means that if the government's not paying and the government is not releasing the gazette, we all get stuck. Luckily for me, I've had my own equipment. Like I've said, I have tipper trucks, I have a motor grader, and I have excavators. So I can hire them out while still waiting to get a good job like the one I currently have now in Joanne. You see. So with those little profits, you try to keep the company close together.
When you hire out, you provide also drivers. How do you guard against things being damaged?
My plant lives with the operator. Yes.
Okay. And those those monies can actually make up for any losses.
Yes.
Have you thought of just a fully fledged plant hire type business based on your years as a broker to just work on that?
No.
Why? Because we do have quite successful plant hire.
Yes, but
businesses.
I think plant makes the most profit when the project is yours. Yeah. So I've pushed, most of the part where I've pushed myself was trying to acquire my own job, my own contract, because it gets tiring dealing with third parties and second parties.
Okay.
Yeah, it really gets exhausting.
I'm a strong believer in giving back, and they say that to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
And indeed, the good book says we must be cheerful givers.
Yes.
So how do you give to the community, and how do you, if at all, are there any philanthropic activities you're involved in?
Yes, I've actually been waiting for that question. Yes, the Bunny Investments has actually adopted one of the Sunday soccer clubs. Yes, the mandate of the club. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but the name of the club is called Khainoswa. It's a Sunday soccer social club.
Why are you sorry?
Because a lot of people may tend to think the name is a bit obscure. But I'm okay with the name because it's a youthful club. So Khainoswa, yeah. So it's a Sunday football club. So the mandate of the Sunday football club is to give back to the community through soccer games, Sunday games. So we have a pad donation drive, whereby every game we play on Sunday, we ask people to donate pads, and then we give to the schools. So my company has actually adopted that soccer club, and I buy the club kits, and then I brand my own company logo for
marketing purposes.
Yes, and then I also invest most funds into the social club, so that if they need to travel in order to donate those sanitary pads or school uniforms, they can have that. So that's how I'm giving back to the community.
That is impressive.
Yes.
Has the team won anything?
We had last week we were supposed to win 10,000 pula from a tournament hosted by Gaborone Gaps Club, and we lost the final. Can you imagine?
You got the second prize.
We lost the final, and I was so impressed with us moving to the final that I actually bought the team a new kit, and I promised them that you're playing the final with the new soccer kit. I'm not using the old kit. I'm playing the final with the new kit. And we lost, but I'm happy. It's tremendous progress.
Hopefully the prize for second wasn't so bad.
It was winner takes all.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is a good time for you to ask me a question. But before you do you believe that a time will come when the industry you are in is not dominated by foreign companies or foreign players? And if you do, how do we get there?
Yeah, I actually do. I actually do believe one day the government will be giving the citizens more priority to major project works, because already, like right now, one of the biggest projects a local company has ever done is done by Estate Construction, which is a local company, and it's in Kanye.
I mean the water
The water sewage reticulation plant. That project alone, the project sum is within billions. So we've been waiting for that. We've been waiting for government to award just a local contractor a project worth 1 billion pula within the contract sum. So I actually believe we're heading within the right track.
And shouldn't local companies get into joint ventures with these foreign companies for the purpose of skills transfer and also to be able to tackle these big tenders?
It's actually happening right now. Most of the pipeline projects are joint ventures from local contractors and Chinese contractors. So I can say that the government has already kickstarted the program, and it's doing very well with that.
Okay.
Because now all the skill and acumen can be brought into the local contractors, probably, let's say, in the next 5 years, we'll be doing all these pipelines by ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Who's your hero? It'd be nice to know who's influencing you. Who do you look up to in this industry or in business?
Can I mention a few?
Yes. and explain why.
To be honest, I aspire to be like the Sabina brothers. I want to be exactly like Kehona. I want to be exactly like Tsepo. I want to be exactly like James Moffat of Bango Trader. I want to be exactly like...
Explain why, in each why.
For instance, for Tau grading, I don't know if you know Tau grading. I want to be like Rudy Lemek because he's actually into plant hire, agriculture and haulage. Recently, I think the company Pathal Group has been pushing a lot into haulage, and just his business diversity inspires me a lot because I'm also into farming. And then the Sabina brothers, I mean, I think they're the best local contractors that have brought the most inspiration in the construction industry. I mean, to be honest, it's not every Motswana that has their own buildings or offices for their companies, and they've built that all from scratch, all from ground. So they also inspire me. Same with James Moffat.
Yeah, I know the Sabina brothers from the time when they were my clients, when they were just starting out. I was in partnership with the late Moses Kachke.
Yes,
I was dealing with them more, but I remember those days.
Yes,
they've a couple of decades back.
Yeah, they've done very well. They've done very, very well in the construction industry, and I really commend them for what they've done for us. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's locally. Internationally, who do you look up to?
Normally, I first focus on...
Oh, that makes perfect sense. That
Yes.
makes perfect sense.
I mostly focus on where I am right now and what I can achieve and what I can get from the people I have access to.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes
I'm a
perfect.
big dreamer, but I don't take huge strides. I take baby steps.
Okay. What would you say one or two ingredients are the secret of your success? For instance, in my case, I love reading. I love, interacting with other, business people. What, in your case, is the key?
Confidence. I don't think there's any day I've told myself I won't go and knock onto Mogobe's door and ask him how does he have a building in CBD. I'm that confident.
Okay.
I'll ask to meet you, even if your HR tells me I can't, I need to make an appointment. I'll call and I'll make sure we sit down. And when you hear me out, you'll be impressed. Yeah, you'll be really impressed on what I have to ask.
Okay. That's the key ingredient, confidence.
That's the key ingredient.
But how do you cultivate confidence? I mean, what are the... Confidence doesn't come on its own.
Yes, it doesn't. You have to definitely believe in yourself. And you definitely have to believe in yourself. And you have to have support from people that actually have to believe in you.
Yeah, I guess the next question is how do you then get that belief? How do you get that support to get the root of the source?
I don't know how to answer that, but I've always believed in myself. I mean, if I go back to the years when I was in junior school, actually, let me start from primary. I got a grade B in primary. Can you imagine? PSLE, I got a grade B. But for my JC, I got a grade A. I overcame the failure from primary. And I overcame that failure because wherever I went, I could no longer believe there were people that were better than me. I could not believe that.
Yeah, it's interesting because even in tertiary you say you didn't do so well, but that didn't hinder you.
But that didn't hinder me.
Yeah.
I could not believe there were people that were better than me. That's why I had to push myself. And I pushed myself to getting an A. After I got my A, I tried to I went to senior school, and I tried by all means to try and get the right points to go abroad.
Yeah.
I didn't. I failed.
Yeah, you explained that.
Yeah, my points were enough. They were 46. They're enough to get me into engineering. But still, at UB, I tried by all means to do a course that would still take me abroad. You see? But I did not achieve that.
Yeah, you
But
explained
I did not
that.
give up.
But why engineering? Would you encourage other people who want to go into business to go through the route of engineering?
No, not really.
Because I hear engineers are very good with numbers.
Yes, but once you're into business, you'd never really advise anybody to go back to school. Yeah, because most of the business people we're dealing with, I don't think they've never really been to school, but the level of thinking and on how to tackling life problems, on how to solve solutions that require modern day solutions, I don't think there's any intellect that can be at par with them. So you'd ask yourself, why did you spend so many years at school studying?
When you could have gone into business and learnt from a master.
From them, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing with business is that you're in the street and you're doing all these things that are required of you. But when you do them, it becomes natural. I mean, if a truck for you, in order for a truck to work, it needs diesel, it needs an operator, it needs, and when it doesn't work or has a breakdown, it's another challenge that you must come up with a solution to solve. So within that process, you get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter.
Yes,
and smarter. Yeah.
The process of problem solving.
Yeah, the process of problem solving.
Yeah.
So you'd ask yourself,
yeah,
why did I need this?
What question do you have for me, sir?
The question I have for all the entrepreneurs that are far superior than me has always been surrounded with financial confidence. I want to know where do you guys get the courage to take big risks, to establish yourselves and to expand whatever you've been working on to a great extent whereby you need large amounts of money that you're never sure you might be able to bring it back?
Yeah, I think psychologists have written about this. I mean, I could spend the whole afternoon talking about this, but you need to develop your courage muscles, and you need to develop your risk-taking muscles. I have on social media a clip where I was jumping from an equivalent of 45-story building, sort of like bungee jumping, but different. The idea is just to have that culture of risk-taking. And obviously it's calculated risks.
Yes,
you minimize the danger. You make sure that that rope is well fastened, but you take the risk. So it's same thing in business, where you have what is known as a regret minimization strategy. This is the idea that when you are in your 80s or 90s in your rocking chair, you don't want to be regretting why you didn't take that chance. So that regret minimization strategy has to start now, because you know that when you are older, there are more regrets of omissions than commissions. People regret more things that they did not do than things that they did. So, and this is well documented. So you develop that culture, and I learned this thing through study, through having mentors. I have mentors that I have access to on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. That helps. So you have to work the courage muscle, and you have to take calculated risks conscientiously. Because just like you put yourself in uncomfortable positions for you to succeed.
Yes.
You've just defined it. Your life story is about that. Yeah. Now look at that camera, sir, and talk to that viewer, that youngster, whoever is there, and leave them with inspirational words of encouragement based on our discussion today.
To all the young entrepreneurs out there, my greatest advice is to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone think that it's not possible. It's very much possible, and all the dreams that you have are easily attained because everything is quantified. Like Mogobe just mentioned, every risk is quantified, every risk is calculated. So whatever risk you take, know that there will be a consequence and know that there will be a reward. So just make sure that you believe in yourself and you push yourself to the limit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Tell them how they can reach you, how they can access you. You have any contacts?
Yes, if there's anybody who wants to contact me regarding mentorship about how I started, you can contact me on 71284475, or you can reach out on my social media platforms. It's just my names, so it's easy for you to be in contact with me.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming. You've been a great guest, sir. You've done good work this afternoon.
Thank you very much.